So we've used the R word many times over the last few months as we've dove deep into the plumbing of the American and global economy, but we haven't really gotten down to a state-by-state analysis of what could happen on a regional level if we do, in fact, fall into the R word, a recession. Now, I've lived in Florida since 2002. I'm originally from the ice-cold Midwest, and I figured a long time ago, since I work remotely doing consulting, why not move somewhere tropical, do something different, and somewhere that has a 0% state income tax? So that took me to Florida. Now, it's been a wild ride, and having started in Miami Beach before finally starting a family and settling into Fort Lauderdale and the suburban life, I've seen a lot. I saw the meltdown of 2008 force a lot of my friends into foreclosure, and some of them even bankruptcy. I also saw many friends who were flush with cash and not living above their means, guys who'd already made it, make millions of dollars by scooping up properties in foreclosure and short sales, and then hold on to them, even some through the pandemic, for absolutely massive gains, taking advantage when other people are down. Hey, good way to make money. Kudos to them. And for anyone who held gold throughout that chaotic time, you all played the market just brilliantly, making 2 or 3 times your money when everyone else was in the dumps, including myself. So what happens if we do fall into recession? Specifically speaking, for my now home state of Florida? Well, according to UCF, University of Central Florida, and their Institute of Economic Forecasting Director, Sean Snaith, Florida has a Teflon economy, and that's a direct quote. And by the way, my son's going to UCF in Orlando next fall, so maybe I'll look up Mr. Snaith and try to connect with him. His insight's incredible. More on him later. In his latest quarterly Florida forecast, Snaith says the impact of a slowdown won't stick to Florida as it has in past recessions, and I quote, "Florida's economy today is more like Teflon. A lot of the effects of a national slowdown will just slide right off," end quote. Now, while the housing collapse in 2008, 2009, and the pandemic hit Florida's economy particularly hard, he suggested that the next slowdown or recession won't do as much damage because of the state's ever-growing population and very strong labor market. Now, I've seen this daily, especially since the pandemic. In fact, I met my now wife during the pandemic as she moved over from California over here to Florida to live freely and enjoy life. And she also works remote, so I do not blame her. California was on lockdown. We visited a few times, and wow, it was tough. Now, it's very rare to see a California driver's license plate all the way in Florida, but there were so many here that flocked when Governor DeSantis decided to let the state be open and not lock it down, much like California, New York, Illinois, Minnesota, other states. Tons of financial-facing businesses came to South Florida at the same time, and Amazon's made a bigger presence down here in South Florida, and their founder, Jeff Bezos, even became a Miami resident and calls Miami home. He's here all the time. He's around. We also became the crypto capital of the U.S., and with that narrative growing, crypto's on fire right now, it's really brought a lot of people and jobs here to Florida. And the rest of the country, Snaith predicts a slowing by the end of 2023 and through the start of 2024. But it's unclear if the slowdown will rise to the level of a full-on recession. I kind of disagree. I think it will, but we'll see. Now, despite our home values going absolutely bonkers, there's also some downsides to all this happening. The flip side of Florida's growing population and strong economic growth means continued shortages in our state's housing market. We've had the fastest growing population growth in the country, which feeds the demand for housing. And it's running headlong into a depleted supply, and this is not exactly a pathway to affordability. Now, Snaith went on to say that he does not forecast any drastic correction during the coming slowdown or recession, and has seen prices stabilize in recent months, and that's pretty consistent with my neighborhood here. But that doesn't mean that housing prices will come down anytime soon for the would-be buyers. Additional notes from Snaith's 4-year Florida and Metro economic forecast include the below. From 2023 to 26, Florida's economy, as measured by real gross state product, that's GSP, will expand at an average annual rate of 1.5%. Real GSP will decelerate during the economic slowdown, as growth will slow to 0.5% in 24 and 0.8% in 2025, and then accelerate back up to 1.7% by 2026. Labor force growth in Florida will average 1.3% from 23 to 26, after growing 3.9% in 2022. Florida's labor force growth will fall to 2.3% in 2023, and a slowed economy labor force growth will average 1% from 24 to 26. Our unemployment rate fell to 4.7% in 21 and 2.9 in 2022. The slowing economy will push the rate to 3.1 and maybe 4.1 and even up to 5% in 25 and 26. Real personal income growth will average about 3% during 23 to 26. Following inflation-driven contraction in 2022, growth will hit 3% in 2026. Florida's average growth will be 0.8% percentage higher than the national rate over those 3 years. Again, Snaith is the director at UCF's Institute of Economic Forecasting and a nationally recognized economist. You can look him up. He's got analysis, economic forecasting, and market sizing down to an exact science. Bloomberg News has recognized Slade as one of the country's most accurate economic forecasters, so take what he says, and it's pretty believable, right? And he served as a consultant for both local governments and multinational corporations, so he's kind of a big deal, if you ask me. So if you're looking for somewhere to park some money, or will have less turbulent waters compared to the rest of the United States, consider investing in Florida. We may have taken the biggest hit in the USA 2008, but if we hit a full-on recession or even a slowdown, this time around, the state is set up to come out without any major damage because all the people moving here, all the jobs, and just the flourishing we're having right now. Now, this is coming to you from the Teflon State, and I invite you to ask any questions about how it is living in Florida in the comments below. Be safe out there.